Boy, oh boy, the mainstream media and the establishment really hates Joe Rogan. Here's the headline: a menace to public health. Doctors demand Spotify puts an end to COVID lies on the Joe Rogan experience. Unlike many platforms, Spotify doesn't have a clear policy prohibiting misinformation. 270 physicians and scientists are hoping to change that. I wonder if they wrote any letters trying to get the CDC banned, or Fauci, or the World Health Organization. You know, the guys who've been wrong about everything? Yeah, I don't think that they wrote any letters about that, did they? And of course, they're freaking out about Dr. Robert Malone being on Joe Rogan's show. Let's see, when they said Jessica Malati Rivera, who's the one who organized this letter of 270 people, when she watched the interview, she was horrified to see that he espoused various conspiratorial and baseless beliefs, from the idea that mass formation psychosis is responsible for people believing in the efficacy of vaccines, to the claim popular among anti-vaxxers that hospitals are financially incentivized to falsely diagnose the COOF. Oh, hold on a second. Here's the USA Today fact check. Hospitals get paid more if patients listed as COOF on ventilators. Our ruling: true. We rate the claim that hospitals get paid more if patients are listed as a COOF and on ventilators as true. So wait a second, I thought she said she was against misinformation. That's not misinformation. And while we're at it, we should just clear up that anti-vaxxer just means anybody who has any questions whatsoever. Regardless if they've had the jab, if they're generally supportive of them, if they only have questions about this one in particular. So you would just have to be clear here. Just clear that up. That's what they mean when they say that. And how about these conspiratorial and baseless beliefs? I don't know, what, like lab leak theory, maybe? Maybe something like that? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't care if you have 270 people who signed a letter that you wrote, Jessica Malati Rivera. In fact, I'm not moved by it at all. Interesting story. In 1931, there was a book published. It was called 100 Authors Against Einstein. The rising Nazi movement found a convenient target in relativity, branding it Jewish physics and sponsoring conferences and book burnings to denounce Einstein and his theories. When asked to comment on this denunciation of relativity by so many scientists, Einstein replied that to defeat relativity, one did not need the word of 100 scientists, just one fact. So just one fact. All Jessica Malati Rivera needs is just one fact. Well, we can see she's quite short on those. But let's take a look at this letter. Open letter to Spotify. A call from the global scientific and medical communities to implement a misinformation policy. So yet another call for censorship. And of course, from somebody who is clearly no stranger to misinformation. This is not only a scientific or medical concern, it is a sociological issue of devastating proportions. And Spotify is responsible for allowing this activity to thrive on its platform. We, the undersigned doctors, nurses, scientists, and educators, thus call on Spotify to immediately establish a clear and public policy to moderate misinformation on its platform. Well, it's pretty serious here. It's not only a scientific or medical concern, it's a sociological issue too. And who better to go to than Allison Myers, nurse practitioner. So, I mean, why think for yourself when you've got Ali Ward, host science correspondent from a podcast? There's an irony there too, right? That another podcaster wants to ban Joe Rogan for having conversations on his podcast that people want to hear, asking questions that people themselves are asking. And it's not as if Dr. Robert Malone, who Rogan had on, is just like some crazy person off the street. He's an American virologist and immunologist. His work is focused on mRNA technology, pharmaceuticals, and drug repurposing research. See, in 1987, Malone performed a landmark experiment on transfection of RNA into human rat, mouse, xenopus, and Drosophila cells. A follow-up study, also published in 1989, found that frog embryos absorbed such mRNA. Basically, he came up with the idea that you could use mRNA in a vaccine. Let's see, Stan Gromkowski, an early mRNA vaccine researcher and cellular immunologist, views Malone as an underappreciated pioneer who could be in contention to win a Nobel Prize for his work. He was the CEO and co-founder of ETHEREUM, a pharmaceutical, which in 2016 was contracted by U.S. Army Medical Research Institute of Infectious Diseases to assist in the development of a treatment for the Zika virus. So he's a seminal figure in the development of the mRNA vaccine. I mean, you'd think what he has to say would be of some interest. I mean, he may be no A.S. Richards, research fellow and science communicator, or April English as science correspondent, unbiased science podcast. But even according to Wikipedia, which you know is going to be biased against him, even according to them, he's pretty qualified to speak. So I'm sorry at 270 physicians and scientists that are hoping to make it impossible for important conversations to happen publicly. I'm sorry, but I don't believe you. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Please subscribe, like, and share. That really helps me out. If you just like to listen, there's the podcast Radio Baloney. It's on pretty much every platform. If you look for it, you will find it. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.